guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a review and a short demo on the new Natasha Sculpt and Glow contour palette. Excuse the rug on my couch. We are finally in the process of moving, so everything is going to be kind of disorganized at the moment. You are going to be seeing videos with the normal, how I normally have it, intermixed with videos with less and less stuff in the background because I have pre-filmed some videos, and then this video was kind of a video that I wanted to get up and out, so I'm filming it right now. So this is going to be Tuesday. You're going to be seeing this tomorrow, which is going to be Wednesday. So yeah, hopefully you find this video helpful. So let's go ahead and get into the palette itself. As of this moment, I don't have anything on my face with the palette. I only have on foundation and a little bit of concealer. I have on the YSL Shock Mascara, which update, I'm loving it, by the way. If you have watery eyes, it'll probably smudge as it's not waterproof. Anyways, let's move on to the purpose of this video, which is the Natasha Sculpt and Glow palette. This is the packaging that it comes in. Both the palettes come in the same exact packaging with the back with all your information. And then here is the actual palette itself. There's the camera. Excuse my fingerprints. It gets very fingerprinty as it has this really nice copper rose gold metallic look to the packaging. It's really, really heavy, feels really, really sturdy, and I'm pretty sure that this would protect it in traveling. On the back, it just doesn't have any information on the back of the palette. It just has her name, serial number, and all that kind of stuff on the back. When you actually open the palette, it has a really, really nice size mirror, which is what I'm going to be using today. I actually really like this mirror. It folds all the way up, so when you're holding it, you can actually look at it really, really easily without having to angle the palette itself. And then once you get into the palette, you have your 3 cream products and you have your 3 powder products. The 3 cream products are safely sealed underneath this hinge area right here that pops up and down, so you don't actually get powder all over it. So I really, really do like the way that she has packaged this product, and to be quite honest, it's a lot bigger than I expected, as these are actually full-size pans. So let's get into the overall cost and breakdown of this product. So the overall retail value for this palette is $89, and you can right now find it on Beautylish and Sephora. However, I would recommend ordering it from Beautylish because Beautylish is going to be a straight $89 with no taxes on top. Whereas if you order it from Sephora, you're going to have to pay taxes, which will make this close to $100 for this palette, which is still, both prices are a lot, but it does save you a little bit more to order it from Beautylish without the tax. So from there, we're going to go ahead and get into the actual products themselves, how I feel about them with my skin tone. Another thing to mention is that this palette comes in 2 different colors. It comes in light to medium and then medium to dark. Just as a reference, I wear the lightest shade in Natasha Denona's range, which is shade number 10. I have the light to medium, of course, because I'm translucent, I'm pale as anything. So let's talk a little bit about the cost breakdown like I had mentioned earlier. So as far as cost breakdown, once you look at how much you get within this whole palette, it's actually not that bad. So you get 42 grams worth of product within this palette, which is a ton of product. Each pan coming in at 7 grams a piece, and you get 6 pans. Just for reference, her normal duos are usually 14 grams of product, so it's 7 grams per product, and they're usually retail for $38. So essentially you're getting 3 duos within this palette for a discounted price, which brings each of these pans to $15 a piece. I believe normally if you were to split up per duos, I think they're like $19 a piece, so they're a little bit more discounted within this whole palette. So this one looks brand new, and that's because it is. I had been using the other one that I had got because I actually received 2 of them. I paid for both of them, but what had happened was my first one that arrived from Beautylish came smashed, came broken. The products were still usable, but it was just a hot mess. I had emailed them, sent them pictures, and they kindly sent me a brand new one and told me to do whatever I wanted with the other one. So the other one I had been just testing out because I actually wanted to test this product out before I came on and did a review, and just to see how the products worked for me. So I haven't touched this one yet, so this is what it looks like brand new. And so yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first product is the Cream Matte Highlight shade. This looks a lot darker than it does. It looks a lot darker in the pan than it does on the skin. It leans really, really yellow, which her lightest shade in her foundation does. I would say that I am between an NC10 in MAC and an NC15. I'm somewhere in between. NC10 is a little bit too light, whereas NC15 is attached too dark. So I would say if you fall within those means from MAC, this would probably work for you. If you are more on the cool tone shade, I think this would appear too yellow for you. However, if you have dark purple under eyes, this would probably help in canceling them out. With that being said, none of these products have a ton of coverage. They are very sheer, but yet buildable. So this first one is the cream highlight shade, the matte one, and like I said, they're very sheer, but they're very sheer but buildable. The texture of them is very emollient and feels really, really creamy and almost hydrating, but yet when you put it onto the skin and once it dries down, it feels like velvet on the skin. It dries down to a really, really nice texture and feel on the skin. You do get a light amount of coverage. I have worn this without any foundation, without any other concealer, and I have liked the effect of this palette. And you guys know I have mentioned in a million other videos that I typically don't go for contour palettes simply because I don't ever feel like I can use all of the products within the palette and it just goes to waste. However, because of the way she has this set up, I feel like if all these shades work for you, you could use every single one in this palette. The next shade is the Cream Contour. This one it looks a lot more neutral in the pan, but once you actually get it onto my skin tone, it looks more like a bronzer for me. So for me, I like to use this as a bronzer, as a cream bronzer, and it works out really, really nicely. Once again, it blends out nicely. I personally prefer to use this with my Marc Jacobs Face 2 brush or any kind of brush to blend it out with, as I feel like with the Beauty Blender, because of how emollient they are, they're not oily, but because of how emollient they are, I don't feel like a damp Beauty Blender works well with these particular products. The next shade is the Cream Highlight. Now this shade looks really, really, really dark in the pan, but once you get it on the skin, it sheers out to almost nothing. Like you can barely tell it's there once you have it blended onto the skin. It's kind of more like a gloss in that it kind of goes over the skin and lets your skin go. It lets your natural skin texture, your natural skin color come through. So it doesn't really add anything except for a nice sheer look to the skin. With that being said, if you use too much of it, you will get a streak across your face on my particular skin tone. So let's go ahead and move on to the powders. So the first powder we're gonna talk about is the Japanese press powder, which is this one right here. It has a really, really nice texture. It's really smooth and really creamy. It's lightly pigmented. My only complaint is not necessarily the texture or the way that it applies to the face, my only complaint is the fact that it has this tint to it. If you're really, really light-handed on pale skin, this can work for you. However, it will cancel out the highlighting effect of the matte cream product, which is kind of But if you have anything, I believe, NC20 to NC30, NC40, this will probably work really, really well for you as a setting highlight powder. As it does have a yellow base to it, but it is slightly too pigmented for us pale girls. It can work, but it's not the perfect shade for us. The contour product, I'm actually not gonna swatch with my finger because this can create hard pan super easily. So I would recommend not putting, if you are gonna swatch it with your finger, do not use oils or anything like that. Make sure your hands are nice and clean because it will create hard pan. This is pressed extremely hard and it swatches horribly, but once you use it with a brush, it does apply really nicely, really evenly to the skin, and it blends out really nicely. It is sheer, but of course I prefer my contour products to be sheer so I can build them up to the desired effect. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a brush and just slightly dip it in there and sit this down and try to do a swatch on my hand for you guys. Like I said, it does not swatch well at all. but it is a really nice neutral shade. It's not too warm, but it's not too gray either, so I think this will work for both cool and warm tones. I really like it. I really like it on the skin, but there it is right there. Like I said, it's not super pigmented and it doesn't swatch nicely, but it works well once you use it with a brush and then apply it to the skin. The last shade is the highlight shade, and this shade isn't packed or pressed too hard. It is really nice and soft and buttery, and it's just a really, really nice highlight shade, and there it is right there. And it applies and it does everything that you would want it to do, but yet again, if you have really, really fair skin, you need to go light-handed with it because it is slightly too pigmented, slightly too dark for us fair skin girls, and if you were to go in with too much, it could look like a streak across your face. But overall, I do really like the product. I do really like this palette, and I won't be returning this one because I can get use out of every shade as long as I use them sparingly. And I plan to travel with this palette as well, as it has a bronzer and everything in one, and I feel like I could get my whole face done basically. Something simple like I'm wearing today, this would be perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in. Like I said, I have my CC cream on, I have an under eye concealer on. I haven't set my face at all yet, which is probably why my mascara, like I said, it's not waterproof, is going underneath there. And we're gonna go in and just do my whole face like I normally would. I'm gonna go ahead and clean off this little brush. This is just a little Clé de Peau concealer brush. I don't really own too many of those flat foundation brushes because I never use them, but I don't like to dig my fingers into these products too much, so I am going to use this brush to apply the highlight shade. And like I said, this shade goes on a lot lighter than what it looks like in the pan, and you don't need too much of it to create the desired effect. So I'm going to go in to my areas and just simply highlight the areas that I want highlighted. And then I'm going to take my Marc Jacobs brush. Like I said, this is the Face 2 brush, and I'm just gonna simply stipple and blend it out. Maybe zoom you guys in a little bit. And as you can see, it does indeed create a nice highlighting effect, even on my pale skin. So it is light enough. But again, if you don't like the yellow tones, which I do because I have warm skin tones, this might not be the best option for you. And if you're anything lighter than, I would say, NC 15, you might not appreciate this at all. Blends in just so nicely, and it dries down and it feels nice. So I feel like this would work really well on oily skin as well, just because it does dry down to that beautiful velvet finish. But if you have oily skin and you tried this, let me know, because I have dry skin and most things work pretty well on my skin unless they're too drying. So another thing about these cream products is that they seem to sit on top of the brush really, really nicely, and they don't seem to sink into the brush, which I like. You can pick up, there's the cream contour shade. You can pick this up, and then once you blend it onto your skin, it's pretty much disappeared from the brush. It doesn't stay on the brush, which I personally really like. And see how warm that is? Like I said, it's okay for a bronzer shade for me. It kind of reminds me of the Chanel Tan de Soleil or whatever the heck it's called. But that's what it kind of like, as far as like the color goes, that's what it reminds me of. It's really, really warm, but it works as a nice bronzer for me. So I don't mind that, because it's something that I can get that use out of. And plus I can also use it as a cream eyeshadow because it's just a really nice warm color, and I love warm. Let me know down below, but I'm gonna be getting the Natasha Denona Star palette as well, not the Star, the Sun palette, when it comes out next week, and I plan on doing a review and demo with that. If you guys are interested in that sooner than later, let me know down below, and I'll try to get that up, move it up through the list of things to do. But see, it just blends out nicely. It's not too harsh. It is buildable, like I said. And it just looks good. Getting some color back into my face already. It looks really nice. I like that. And then the last cream product that I'm going to go in with is the cream highlight shade. Like I said, it isn't very pigmented, but you can build it up. But on my fair skin, I don't really want to build it up. And I'm going to put this, Hopefully you guys will be able to see its effect. It's very subtle, but it's very beautiful. And even if you set this with powder, it shows through. It leaves like this beautiful natural glow to the skin, which I personally prefer. And this works beautifully with your fingers. It works well with a brush too. Oh, and then there's the brush after using the contour shade. It leaves pretty much nothing on the brush. It all goes onto the skin. So I like that. I like that I don't have to switch products for all the cream. I like that I don't have to switch between brushes for all the cream colors. It makes it really fast and really easy. I don't know if you guys can see that at all, but it is really pretty. It just kind of just lets your natural, you see that right there? That's from, that all right there is from the cream highlight. And there you go, you can kind of see it right there. And none of these products disrupt the foundation underneath, which again is really important for me. So there's all the cream products on my face, the highlight, the contour shade, and the matte highlight. I'm gonna go ahead and dip into the highlight shade, and this is the Wayne Goss airbrush, I think is what it was called. And you guys are gonna see how much this darkens the under eye. So I definitely can't say that I would recommend this for setting your under eyes if you're really, really pale, because I feel like, see how much it darkens it right there? It is a beautiful powder, and if you're any darker than I am or a medium skin tone, I feel like this will be this will be beautiful for you. For me, I will probably use this product to set my contour area, the bronzer areas, because it's dark enough. It's too dark for my under eyes, for my personal liking. So I won't use this to set my under eyes, but it is a beautiful powder if it does work for you. The product we're going to go into, of course, is the actual contour. And for that, I'm going to take my Wayne Goss number 10 brush, and I'm just going to dip my brush into it. Just be aware, like I said, it is pressed really hard and it doesn't swatch worth a darn, but once you use it on a brush, as you can see, it does pick up a nice amount of product and it works well. Maybe clean it up a little bit. Kind of made a mess there, but that's okay. But you see how much product it does pick up with the brush, but it didn't swatch anything. And I'm just going back in with that cream highlight shade to kind of clean up underneath, and see, it works really well. I'm gonna have to blend out that line a little bit more, but that's okay. We're just cleaning it up underneath. It works well even over a light dusting of powder. The highlight shade, and this is also going to be on my Wayne Goss 02 brush, which is very similar to the 10. I'm just gonna dip into it, load up the brush, and go for it. And it just kind of enhances the glow that's already on your face. It's not harsh, it's not like bam metallic, but like I said, I personally don't go for those kind of highlights in the first place, so this is just perfect for me and what my personal liking is. Pretty much just bathe in it, put it everywhere. So that was my review and demo of the new Natasha Denona Sculpt and Glow palette. I hope you found this video helpful and informational. If you have any additional questions, feel free to leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.